All right, we're back with Melanie of Glaze Craft Windows, and we've been doing a series on linseed oil paints and primer. And now she's just going to give us a quick demonstration of how she uses the primer. Real quick, so this primer, small can, uh, how many sashes do you think you could do with this little?
I don't know. I've done 25 so far.
25 so far. Like she's done 25 sashes, primed that with just that little can. So it really goes a long way. And here you have your cool easel that you've made, very impressive.
Adjustable, so I can, depends on the height of the sash, I can move it around.
Nice, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm using my natural bristle brush. And one of the keys with linseed oil is you put on very, very thin coats. And that's true for the primer coat as well.
And why is that?
Well, because it cures through oxygen and UV. And if that oxygen and UV can't get to the paint, then it will never harden. You'll get wrinkles, it'll turn yellow.
I see, so thin coats.
Yeah, and it cures very slowly. And the point of that is that you get a really, really hard finish.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And also she just wiped this down with a little rag, and now she's going to start applying the primer.
Yeah, so just a teensy bit. And so the primer is really thin because it's 15% balsam turpentine. Okay. And there's also raw linseed oil in there, and then about 50% paint.
Sweet. All right.
So I will
here we've got the profiles. It's kind of curved and ornate.
Yeah. So in this case, I'm going to just lean it forward a bit so I can get in here. And you can see just how watery it is, and in fact, how far it can go. I should be able to...
And it's not watery because it's water. It's just, it's thin.
It's very thin. But that one little dip in the brush...
That's amazing. Look how far that goes.
Covers it.
If you're used to latex paints like I am, this is neat to watch because this just goes so much further. And the application looks very nice and smooth.
Yeah, one of the things about linseed paint is it doesn't self-level. So one of the things you have to do as you're painting is going back and making sure that you've got a nice even coat. That helps also with the natural bristle brush. That'll give you a good finish.
And to note, you can't smell it, of course, because you're on the film. But we're inside an enclosed room here, and VOCs are basically the smell that a paint puts off. The VOCs, I'd say, are really low here, and it doesn't really smell.
Yeah, they're hardly measurable. They're below what is required for you to report. So I usually start there, and I might slip back and kind of, you can see how it's not even. That's actually what you want, because what is happening is that the oils are soaking deep, deep into the wood. And so when this dries, it'll probably be patchy. There'll be sections that are really white and sections that look almost clear. And that's because the wood pulled it in. That's good. So by the time you get to your second coat of real full linseed paint, it'll start looking more uniform.
And what's cool about that is the oil actually refreshes the wood. So this, is a 100-year-old wood here, and it'll get refreshed with the oil, which is a really neat way to go.
It's almost like putting on a stain.
Yeah.
You just really work it. You really want to work it into the wood.
See, Melanie's a very careful painter, unlike me. That's why she can wear normal clothes. I would need my painting suit covered in paint. But yeah, this is a really neat process.
So the key then for this to start curing is for there to be lots of oxygen and ideally UV light. So you want to put it next to a window, or you want to set it outside and let it get that UV. And it will typically be ready for you in about 24 hours. Okay,
so you're putting on one coat of primer, you stick it outside, or you can stick it in the sun for a day, or overnight, or you can put it under a UV light if you have one of those, and it'll cure, and then it's ready for then you would glaze the window.
Yeah, once it's dry to the touch, then you're ready to go.
Yeah, so in this process, as covered in my videos, you glaze it, put the glass in, you glaze it, and then it's ready for the real top coats of the linseed oil paint. And so we're putting one coat of primer, and how many coats of paint?
I'll usually do upwards of 3 full coats of linseed paint after I do the primer.
Okay. That'll give it a really nice coverage, huh?
Yeah, it'll be nice and glossy and shiny and hard.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm putting the last of this on this side, and then you can see my brush strokes, right, are a little random. So the last thing I will do before I'm ready to finish this is just run nice, my brush on here.
Okay, give it a nice, very nice. Quick question. So if you're using a latex or some normal oil paints or more standard oil paints, you usually hit it with a 220 grit sandpaper to kind of just flatten it out. Do you need to do that with the primer when you're finished? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I do. I usually do 220. And linseed paint doesn't lift up the wood fibers like other paints do, so you're not doing it for that reason. But what it does help with is it just picks up any dust that may have settled into it, just smooths off any brush strokes.
Okay.
Your next
cool.
coat will look nice and smooth.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for showing us this. This is really neat. All right, thanks.